Welcome in. This is episode 1 of Going the JC Route podcast. This is your host, JC. I'm here with my co hosts, AJ Brock and the Birdman. On today's episode, we are going to sift through the disaster that was the Dallas Cowboys this weekend
Oh,
and
oh.
then get to a few more fun things in the world of sports before we end it.
So we're gonna
That
start.
said, telling by his
We're
reaction.
gonna start with the nasty first.
I'm gonna say
y'all made fun of me for getting tickets to watch the Cowboys play the 49ers in the playoffs.
I did.
Right about that.
I keep making fun of you.
I was convinced. I was convinced that this time would be different, and I was wrong, and really wrong. So
you just admitted to being a stereotypical Cowboys fan.
well, the deal is
you basically did.
I bought in, I drank the Kool-Aid. I drank the Kool-Aid from the defense. Yeah. I mean, everything went wrong. And
here's the thing
the only player on that team that I'm going to give a break to would be Micah Parsons. Everybody else did not look good at all.
Micah Parsons might actually be the best defensive player in the NFL soon.
He could be.
I thought Ezekiel Elliott played well under the circumstances. I don't know what his stat line was, but he didn't look terrible. But I mean, yeah, everything else was not good. I thought the defense played. The defense played well enough to get you that win. When you played
Tom Brady
and you played Brady, yeah. You had, what was it, 3 or 4 possessions where they were in our own territory and they had to kick field goals. That should give you a chance to win the game. But there's only so much you can do when the offense is bad. But the thing for me is that the offense was going to be bad. Like, who thought that this offense was going to be good? You couldn't re-sign La'el Collins. You let Amari Cooper be traded for nothing. Was Cedric Wilson traded, or did he walk?
I'm pretty sure he walked in free agency.
Okay, so you let him walk.
Yeah, he plays for the Dolphins now, right?
Cedric,
like that?
Yeah. Cedric Wilson walked to the Dolphins for nothing. You went from
right.
having
I don't want to say something wrong.
Yeah. Let me see. Should I call in a certain person to?
Yeah, he plays for the Dolphins now. That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew that, but the offense has done nothing. The only thing you did in the offseason was draft a first round, or you drafted an offensive lineman in the first round who should have gone in the second round. He's a project. He may turn out to be great, but you did all of that, and what did you expect for that offense to be?
So my main beef with the Tyler Smith pick is not that he was maybe considered a reach, is more that he has a history of penalties. And what was the Cowboys' biggest problem last year on offense?
It was penalties, but Smith didn't even. I don't think Smith committed a single penalty all night.
That's a fair point.
Well, here's he played really well on the offensive line.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing with Tyler Smith though. With Connor Williams, whenever he was in the same situation, getting hold.
How dare you say that name to me?
He wasn't strong enough. But with Tyler Smith, from what I've heard, it's a technique issue, and you fix that up, and he's not a bad football player, but to me, just reaching for a guy who's in the second round, even if he turns out to be great, like, what are you doing? You're supposed to go and get an offensive lineman who you can plug and play right now, because that offensive line, with the exception of Zach Martin, who we don't even know how much longer he's going to be great. Like, there is so many holes in that offensive line. You did not get. You got a 40-year-old, albeit future Hall of Famer, and free agency, and that's about it. And you got a 4th round draft pick.
To add this to Zach Martin, to your point, Chris. To add this, Zach Martin has fewer holding penalties than he does Pro Bowl selections.
Yeah. He does,
right?
And
he has.
Zach Martin's one of the best guards in the league, and he has been.
Yeah, I want to look that.
You're about to waste his career. You're about to do. The Cowboys are going to do what to Zach Martin. They're going to do to Zach Martin what the Los Angeles Angels right now are doing to Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
And And real quick, also, it also doesn't help that
Am I wrong?
Prescott, McGovern, Curse, and one more. Help me out here.
Are you talking about all the injuries?
Those are the main three that got.
Yeah, there were injuries. There were injuries.
You want to take those injuries out. The rest of the team was just atrocious.
My thing is, apart from the performance, so we can dig into the performance a little bit more here in a minute, but it's the fact that we knew we had these issues coming up of offensive line depth and performance and wide receiver depth and performance. And Jerry Jones said, "Nah, we're good, fam."
To quote Jerry Jones, if I can, quote Jerry Jones, I like Turpin. That's all he said. That's all he said. Turpin.
And by the way, Turpin didn't look good.
He did like nothing, right?
Turpin made some bad decisions bringing the ball out when you.
Well, he said it in the offseason. He said that he was going to try and make plays happen. That's what he wanted to do. And I mean, it clearly didn't work.
There's a difference between aggressive and reckless.
Agreed.
And bringing the ball out from 6 yards deep every return, that's kind of reckless.
It is. It's very reckless. And what do they have? They had 10 penalties, I think, last night. Or
I can tell you.
Sunday night. Which last night was an entire show in itself. But if we want to talk about that, we can talk about that later.
The Cowboys had 10 penalties for 73 yards.
Yep. That's not that bad. It's not good, but it's not as bad as it has been.
Tampa only had 5 for 25 yards.
That's about right. I just can't get over the fact that anybody with a brain could have seen these problems coming, and the front office did nothing about it.
Nope.
Like, it's like, sure, you drafted an offensive lineman, but it's like he's not going to plug and play right away, be at the level Tyron Smith or Zach Martin is. And then, you traded Amari Cooper to open up cap, and
they did not. Who was it that got traded a few weeks ago that was a receiver? They got more for than Amari Cooper, and I think Amari Cooper was better than him. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Do you?
Oh, who was it? Who literally just got traded?
Yeah, it happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah, just recently.
I'm gonna let you stew on this for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, come back to us.
Did the Bucks make a trade?
I think it was the Bucks.
It was it the Rager trade?
It was Jalen Rager. Rager got traded from the.
It was Rager's
can't remember who he got traded to, but Cooper is better than Rager.
And I heard people talking.
The Eagles got more for their buck than we did for Cooper.
And I heard people talking about this, that the Amari Cooper thing was a personal decision, which Jerry and Steve have a habit of doing this, of making personal decisions in the front office, which you have to separate the two, personal and professional. And it is going to show how much you trade away your only deep threat for personal reasons, and look what it got you. And CD still has to prove that he can be that number. I love CeeDee Lamb, but I don't think right now he fits, especially after what we saw from all the receivers, especially CD, that he can fit into a number one role at this moment.
I mean, everything goes back to having an offensive line, and they don't. And everything about I don't have any problem with the defense. I think the defense is good. They might have struggled here and there from time to time, but I thought the defense overall played okay. And game-winning
front
football.
Seven looked pretty good until they, what's his name, Leonard Fournette started gashing them near the end.
Well, I mean, that's going to happen whenever whenever your defense is on the field all the time.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a long season.
Well, so I texted in the group chat this. The first drive, the offense looked pretty good. And then once McGovern got hurt, Dak got sped up in his decisions and his reads and just never settled down. Never. He was high. He was behind. He just didn't play well. I actually saw some kind of research. I think it was like S&P Plus or something. And Dak was literally rated the worst quarterback.
Yeah, he's rated
week 1, which that's 100% fair.
Well, there's 32 teams in the NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, the stats I saw were prior to Monday Night Football, but regardless.
So after this past Sunday night, looking at Dak Prescott right now, he ranks 31.
Who's behind him?
That's a great question. Yeah, 2022 season stats: yards 31st, touchdowns 20, tied for 28th, interceptions tied for 15th, and QBR 15.3, tied for 31st. Or he stands alone at 31st. So he's not the worst, but this is the guy you pay $40 million a year for.
Well, I mean, it's one game, and it was 3/4 of a game.
True.
And now it's not going to matter for 8 weeks.
Oh no! But did you hear what our fearless leader said? He could be back in 4 weeks.
Of course, he said that.
Yeah, he just
he's
said
got to put butts in seats. He saw those $37 tickets to the Bengals games, and he's like, "Nope, got to get them bought in."
That's the problem with the Dallas Cowboys right there. They don't. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones in particular, does not care. I'm not going to say that. I think he cares about winning. He cares about winning it his way. But the other thing is that they care more about the brand. Work. It's not about winning football. It's about winning the brand. They're not a football team anymore. They're an attraction. People go to watch them because they're an attraction. Like it's
the richest brand in the world.
Like how is that possible? You have football. You have European football teams. You have Manchester United. You have Chelsea. You have Liverpool. You have Real Madrid. You have all these European football teams, and and most people don't even like football outside of the country lines. Like,
you know why, right?
Like, and yet they're still the most expensive team. And like,
you know why, right?
At the end of the day,
Jerry Jones has spent more time building the brand than building the football team.
Yep.
You go to Mexico, you go to South America, hell, you go to Europe, and well, maybe Europe is the Jaguars, but because they play one game a year, they're there. But whatever.
Right.
You go to other countries, and people, it's the same thing. It's like you're in America, and you're like, what European soccer team do you support? And you pick one, right? Usually, you pick the winning ones. Aiden.
They haven't won like 20. Not at the time. Calm down. That's not the point. We're not talking. The point is we're not talking about this.
The Dallas. They
haven't won in 26 years.
The thing is, people recognize the Cowboys, so they're the first brand they see. It's like the Yankees, right? You recognize the brand, so you support them.
Championship in the past 30 years,
right? Like it doesn't matter, but regardless, it's disappointing, and we're probably in for a long few weeks.
And I think
we're in for a long season.
By the way,
to be fair, we were kind of expecting a long beginning of the season anyway because of how the schedule played out. The beginning of the Cowboys schedule.
Well, not just that, but this is one of the worst off seasons in recent memory. And like I said, with the exception of like you did some good things on defense, and I have faith. I have a lot of faith in Dan Quinn to be as good. He might regress a little bit for this year, but like I think offensively, you did nothing. You got worse in just about every position, and you got older in some positions as well.
So here's the thing: the Cowboys were a great defense last year because they led the league in turnovers. What are the odds?
And they lead the
league in turnovers
again.
Well, what are the odds
with Diggs? He's such a ball hog, and he knows how to play the ball well. That I'm not saying he's going to get double-digit turnovers, but I think he could get a high amount of turnovers because of the way he plays the ball. But
not
on top
just,
of that,
but with
that in mind,
Trevin Diggs, though, the rest of the defense, what are the odds we replicate that performance from last year?
That's a tough question. I mean,
it's not very high.
It's not great that we do that, but the fact that we have done it. By the way, I did pull something up. Mac Jones is the quarterback that is worse than Dak Prescott right now.
Oh yeah, he had a bad start. I didn't see his stat line, but I don't think he played good at all.
So that's who is standing right below Dak Prescott.
By the way, okay.
But
But
it's so.
So going back to Jerry Jones' lack of team building skills, because he was born yesterday. Look at what's our quarterback situation now?
Cooper Rush
and Will Grier, huh?
Will Grier. Or hey, Jimmy G, baby.
Oh yeah, you're trading a first-round draft pick and a lot of
Jimmy G. It's not gonna. I heard so many phone calls after the game on the radio saying we got to trade for Jimmy G. We got to trade for Jimmy G. But it's like, okay, he has a no trade clause in his contract, and what? He's going to come here for 4 weeks and play, and then just to be.
And you're going to give up, and then you're going to give a first-round draft pick, which you could use to get what? C.J. Stroud, maybe
Bryce Young,
Bryce Young,
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson. No, and I'd
rather get an offensive lineman.
After this start, I know it's only one game, and I don't want to overreact, but I could seriously see with the way things have gone that we could easily have like a top 7 pick because of how the season has started.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Jerry Jones won't have it that way.
What's up?
Jerry Jones won't have it that way. He's content with a 9-8 or 8-9 team.
Dude, it was so lethargic, that offense, like nonchalant.
The Cowboys were the only team in Week 1 to not score
a touchdown. The only team.
Well, sounds like we're in for a long year.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's only 1 week, but still, that fact remains that we have not scored a touchdown in the NFL. We saw how brutal it was. Like, we're not complete fools.
They didn't even. They couldn't even really move the ball, let alone score.
Oh, they could.
How many times did they give past the 50?
But hold on. What does moving the ball go back to? An offensive line.
Offensive line and a machine and a quarterback.
So
no, but it definitely offensive line.
Cowboys, I think we solved the Cowboys problem. Let's go to next year. Restart it.
Let's do that. And is there? Yep, we definitely have to do that. Is there anything else we to add for this?
I think there's no need to beat that dead horse. We're disappointed again for the 27th year in a row, or whatever it is. At this
we already talked about it, and I feel like we're going to be talking about it all year.
Oh yeah, we'll talk next week about how the Bengals slapped us around a little bit.
After that'll be interesting. Joe Burrow didn't have a good game either, and
I don't know if it was him not having a good game or the Steelers just looking good. The
Steelers have a great defense. By the way, T.J. Watt's probably
they have a good defense.
T.J. Watt's probably out for the year. But I mean, Joe Burrow might have a field day.
Can we talk about here? We can transition here. Let's talk about the shit show that was the Colts and Texans.
Oh
no, I want to talk about yesterday.
Week one of the NFL this past week, man. Y'all have seen the meme, right? Of like the whole Madden game when you're lining up to take a field goal and like the kicker's like is aiming like way off over here. Yeah. That literally sums up this past week.
Dude, did you watch the Monday night game?
That too.
Aiden and I watched it, and it's just like I'm sitting there, and it's like, what was there, like a minute left? Granted, it was fourth down, which I just didn't really realize, but it was 4th and 5. There was like a minute and 5 seconds left. You had 3 timeouts, and you're on. I think it was like just past the 50, and they're just sitting there for like 40 seconds without doing a thing. And I'm sitting there like, time out. And I know Peyton Manning was doing the same thing. Time out. Just call a timeout. And they settled with 20 seconds left to go in the game, with 3 timeouts left. They settled for a 64-yard field goal. That's my rant for the week. Anyways,
that's your week.
Is there really much else to say from the NFL? I mean, it was week 1. I think we're all just kind of sifting through. Like,
there was a lot of exciting games. There was a lot of intrigue into this season. Past week.
Real quick,
it'll be an interesting year.
Sure. I really want to talk about. I really want to talk college football, but after week 1, who are y'all picking to go to Super Bowl?
I do have a question. So with the Cowboys, I think we can agree that that their kicking game has been questionable at best, even this offseason. Another question mark by our fearless leader, Jerry Jones. So I did see the Colts did release Rodrigo Blankenship.
Well, we have our Lord and Savior Brett Maher back.
But is that our Lord and Savior?
Did he miss a field goal this weekend?
He only had the opportunity to kick one.
But did he miss it?
One and only one.
So he's perfect all the season.
How long was that kick? Let's see. He can and that's the thing when correct me if I'm wrong here. When he was here, he could hit him from a mile, but it was like the very short range ones where he couldn't, like, he was very hit and miss. He had his one field goal, he was 1 for 1, and it was from 51 yards. So not bad, really good.
So what was the question you were asking, JC?
It was after week 1 in the NFL, who are you picking to go to the Super Bowl?
You know, I before I saw Pat Mahomes carve apart the Cardinals, I was really leaning the Bills in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're looking at another Bill. I think we're looking at a Bills Chiefs AFC Championship game.
Super Bowl.
That was my question.
But okay, yeah, I don't know. I honestly want to say this is it. I'm gonna say the Bills after this year, after what happened last year. Josh Allen has an even bigger fire lit under him. I'm gonna say Bills, and then from the NFC. That's a great question. The Cowboys? No, we're gonna go.
Hey, we're gonna bring it back. We'll bring it back, baby.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even
just
know.
Just like a delusion. Everybody's gonna call us a delusional fan.
Maybe I don't. No one from the NFC like really stood out to me this week, but
you know of all the NFC teams that played. You know who probably had the best game?
The Eagles.
Even then, they let the freaking Lions score almost 30 on them.
True.
Yeah, they almost lost by 3.
You know who almost the best game?
They beat them with
the Vikings look good.
Huh? The Vikings.
The Vikings look really good.
Yeah.
But that's
KJ Jefferson might be the best receiver in the NFL right now.
Yeah, my fantasy team thanks him.
You're what?
I like the Bills. Personally, I like the Bills. My
fantasy team thanks him.
Oh, I bet.
Personally, I like the Bills. And before week 1, I said 49ers.
Okay.
But it would have had to have been based on what the quarterback situation was. Which
Trey Lance was like,
I don't know if it's
Trey Lance was not that good either. He
like I think to me, I think the 49ers, it's based on how good that quarterback is. Because I think that's really the only thing that they're missing. And there's always a trend where they always seem to find a way to go from being terrible to being a Super Bowl contender. And what were they? A game away last year from being in the Super Bowl? So personally, I like them. I like them and the Bills. I'm probably dead wrong, but that's who I'm picking. I think if you're the Cowboys, you need to focus on how they're doing their crap because they're doing it fairly right.
I said, I don't disagree. I think I'm on the same wavelength. I'm going Bills and Bucks.
Bucks?
Yeah.
I could agree with that. This is probably Brady's last year. I could see him pulling some.
We've been saying that for 4 years now.
That's true.
Yeah.
I honestly
probably even longer than that.
I honestly think this is it.
We've been saying that since he left New England and even before that.
Yeah. But I honestly think it's going to be a team on the West Coast. Either the Niners or the Rams. Or even the
Cardinals. The Niners just lost.
The Cardinals didn't look good.
I would.
Niners just lost to Elijah Mitchell though.
I made that prediction before the season actually started because I texted you that, so I'm sticking with that.
And then you realize Trey Lance is mediocre.
Yeah, Trey Lance right now after week 1, Trey Lance is the 21st rated quarterback in the NFL. which isn't terrible.
It's week.
But
It's week 1.
Better than Dak.
It's week 1. We'll see what.
Nope.
Like JC said earlier, it's week 1. We'll see how the season pans out. And
okay.
in the NFL, it doesn't take being undefeated like in college, which we're about to transition to, I'm sure, like right after this. It doesn't take being undefeated. All you have to do is strike it hot at the right moment, get into the wild card, and just steamroll your way through there. You don't even have to win your division. You just have to get into the wild card, and the day can be yours. Just ask how the Giants did, how they did.
I think we can wrap up with the fact that the Cowboys are the only winless team in the NFC East.
Oh.
I don't think we have to say much else there. Like
they are going to be.
That pretty much sums up everything.
They may not even make it to third place or second place in the division.
If they don't beat the Giants, I'll be sad, but it wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Do you want?
Okay. So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we've got.
Let's get to something happier.
Let's talk about some more fun things. I think, be it that we've got a Longhorns fan here, I think we should start there.
I could not be happier with the way they played. We were supposed you two in particular said we were going to get roasted by Alabama, smoked.
I mean, who didn't say that?
Destroyed, and we to only lose by 1. And I never hide behind calls, but I firmly believe that's a safety. But I'll let that be.
There were some questionable calls in that
game.
There
were some questionable calls, but I could not.
Again, in what Bama game is there not?
True. And what Bama game do they play where they don't injure a quarterback? But I can say this. I am pleased with the way they played. That is some of the best defense I've seen in a long time. It gives me, a lot of encouragement. We're not quite there yet, but it steps in the right direction. And one of the biggest things, I was talking to one of my friends this week when I was at the SMU game, and he was a UT alum, and he said the biggest difference about that defense is Gary Patterson. And yeah. I think that has played
I agree.
That is some of the best defense I have seen in a long time.
Sweaty Gary strikes again.
Gary Patterson, bro. It gives me a lot of encouragement, hope. I'm looking forward to it. Ewers is out for a couple weeks, but Hudson Card will be all right.
Oh, Ewers. Well, so what's crazy is I heard Card might miss this coming week.
Yeah, now we got another true freshman coming in.
Well, it's
here's the thing.
Charles Wright is what I heard.
Who? Say again?
Charles Wright.
Yeah, what's it? If that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Is it freshman? Murphy probably.
Here's the thing from my perspective with the Texas game. To me, I think it's a little bit more agonizing that they had the chance to go and win that game and then ultimately lose. I feel like it would have made it a little bit easier to, be close the way they were and then lose by 7 or something. But nevertheless, it was a huge game, a big performance by them. I think it gave a lot of. I think a lot of people respected the way they played. And to me, I was saying this all week. You don't have to look at it as beating them. You just have to cover the spread. The spread was what, 20? I think it was 22 and a half to close whenever they were getting ready to start the game. Mm-hmm. And all you had to do, in my eyes, was you had to stop them. You had to cover the game. You have to make them sweat. And I would, if you do all of that, that's fine. And I think they went above and beyond. And I even think you have to say that as an Oklahoma fan, you have to say that what they did, given the circumstances for how they played, I mean, I thought they went above and beyond.
I agree. I think I don't necessarily agree with the whole moral victory thing, but I have to say I was pleasantly surprised with Texas's performance. They looked like a competent team for the first time in years. The true my whole thing going into the offseason was, will these true freshmen on the offensive line hold up to Will Anderson and Dallas Turner? I gotta say, for the most part, they did a pretty damn good job. They got a couple pressures. Obviously, because Dallas Turner damn near murdered Quinn Ewers.
But
it was a legal hit. Yeah. It was a legal hit.
It was a legal hit.
There is never a moral victory.
If he wasn't hurt, they wouldn't have thrown the flag.
There is never a moral victory in sports ever. But given the circumstances of where Texas was and where Alabama is, I mean, who didn't call? Like everybody, I'm sure just about everybody was calling for them to lose. Even you were joking about how they were going to win the coin toss. Like nobody saw what they were going to do coming. If it was going to be that way, it was going. I pictured it being close the third quarter. It's a little uncomfortable, and then by the fourth quarter, by the end of the fourth quarter, it's just we already know who won. But they showed up, they played their heart out, and hopefully for Aiden's sake, it's a sign of things to come. But I was thinking about this earlier because you had said that what you want is for Texas to win that game, and then you want them to lose to UTSA. Wouldn't this be almost better to almost beat Alabama than going to UTSA with that emotion and lose?
I think you've got a great point. That would be great.
Texas from his standpoint, not from mine.
It's Texas thinking, hey, we didn't beat Bama, but we showed progress, right? Hey, we're on the right track. We're doing the right things. And then just like,
pull an A&M against Appalachian State
team.
Why are we talking about this negativity?
But here's the thing now. Well, here's the thing now. Going into it now, knowing what we know about Quinn Ewers' injury, the potential of Hudson Card's injury, if they're starting Charles Wright, Texas could very well lose that game.
They could.
Yeah. If they're playing a third string quarterback, it's definitely prime for a possible upset. But
so we've got to. Texas definitely has some stuff to figure out this week.
We'll see. I think Hudson Card. Everything that I've found, Hudson Card is a question mark right now. Ewers is out for a couple weeks, but he'll be back for October.
I mean, they could pull an A&M and lose to Appalachian State.
I will say, I imagine Quinn Ewers will conveniently be available for OU Texas in about 4 weeks.
Oh, he will. I'm convinced.
By the way,
even Quinn when he started the game against Alabama, Quinn was throwing it pretty well too.
Oh, Quinn looked great.
Quinn looks good. So I'm okay. I'm content. I'm gonna ride I don't agree with moral victories. I will agree with that, but this feels pretty good. Like that was the most competent team.
It's a step in the right direction. Step in the right direction. Now you got to go and beat Kansas.
Who is 2-0, by the way?
Let's talk about this. Kansas is 2-0. They're number 1 in the Big 12, baby.
But can we say this?
Vandy was number 2.
The Fighting Lance Leipold.
But you know who's not? But you know who's not 2-0? If we could transition, Texas A&M.
Have you guys seen that video floating around today?
Which one?
The Midnight Yell and the Yell Leaders.
I saw it yesterday. Me and Aiden and I were watching it during Monday Night Football yesterday.
Wait, what video is this?
Is
it
the Yell Leaders or Monday Night? He's like, I had to look it up, and Appalachia's not even a state.
Oh yeah, we did watch that, the whole Midnight Yell thing.
Yep.
That they did right before the game, or it was like, you know what? I couldn't find anything about Appalachian State because they can't string 3 W's in a row. I'm like, well, neither can you, apparently. Whoa!
I mean,
they held the ball for over 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Appalachian State had the ball for over 40 minutes, and you cannot win football games when you let your opposing team have the ball for that long. I don't care how close the score is. You cannot win games like that. And
A&M's defense is really good. That offense has a lot to figure out.
And I'm talking to an A&M buddy of mine.
Throw Haynes King to the wolves at this point.
That's what a buddy of mine who's an A&M fan said yesterday. He said, we need to bench Haynes. Who's their freshman that they have?
Connor Wigman or Wegman.
Yes, they were talking about benching Haynes
from Brisbane,
and putting in Connor Wegman.
They got a fun game this weekend against Miami.
Well, you know who they got as transfer now, right?
Who?
You know who the guy's transfer now, right?
Who, Miami?
Max Johnson. No, A&M.
Oh.
Max Johnson from LSU transferred in.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, the quarterback that left.
He'd get the spot before the true freshman does.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's okay. I love tasting Aggie tears.
And it's funny. We're going to the A&M Arkansas game, and Chris and I are already looking at Appalachian gear. I'm looking at getting an Appalachian State flag and like putting it on like a little piece, like a little pie PC rod, and just taking it in with me. And then before we go to the seat, just like walking on the A&M side, just waving the flag side to side. Just like
this is why I swear you have a death wish. Like actually,
they're Aggies. They ain't gonna do a thing.
Aggies don't. You have a history of causing problems.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have a problem though this year at the Cowboy game.
All right, we'll let the Aggies waller again. You guys bring up a good point though. Now they have to go play the freaking rejuvenated Hurricanes this weekend.
The Convicts.
How about us?
Don't tell me.
Okay, stop.
1-2.
What's that?
Don't tell me the Aggies are going to start 1-2.
I think they will. Let me pull up the running statistics. I mean, granted, it's just a statistic.
If they go 1-2, they're going to be 1-3 after the week after that. But
getting ahead of yourself, aren't you there?
I mean, look. I mean, I know in years past, whenever we played them, whenever we weren't any good, we played them well. So they'll probably give us a really good game. And obviously, we have Missouri State coming up. But like, besides the fact that Bobby Petrino's coming to town, like, I mean, if we don't cover the spread, which I'm sure is going to be over 30, like, then we might as well just put a loss in that column.
So
let's do this. Since we're already talking about Arkansas, let's get to it. Let's cover them real quick since you're here. What'd you think about South Carolina?
I thought Rattler played well. I don't think he played great, but he didn't play well. The defense looked good at times. I mean, there was a lot of stuff to be excited about because the offense looked competent. KJ Jefferson was tough to bring down. Rocket Sanders was tough to bring down. I mean,
you know what I want to talk about, and it's the saddest thing I have to say is Drew Sanders, because you know his recruiting story is, right?
I know. He played at Denton Ryan, didn't he? He's
from Denton Ryan. He was committed for Oklahoma for over 2 years as a tight end.
Then went to Bama.
And 2 weeks before signing day, Saban's like, "Hey, come play linebacker for me." And he flipped. And now he's at Arkansas. Killing it.
The transfers for Arkansas have done really well. Him,
Hazelwood's looked good so far.
Hazelwood's looked good. I think there's potential for those receivers to be pretty good. Not just him, but also Burks, who's a tight end, admittedly. He's tight end. And then what's his name? Landers.
Matt Landers.
He could be very good as well. I think the offense is going to be very solid. The question I have for the defense is that secondary, because it's not been great. Catalan just went out for the season. Slusher, I don't know how long he's out, and we just lost another secondary guy for I don't know how long, but I think the only question marks I really have for that. But I mean, this team really still has a 9-10 win ceiling, I think.
I mean,
and they should take care of the Bobby Petrino-led Missouri State, who's coming into town, and then we come here.
That is actually the headline right now on NCAA football on ESPN on the section over there. Is how Bobby Petrino is walking into Fayetteville. Bobby Petrino faces a polarizing past in return to Arkansas. 10 years ago, he went from highly successful coach to punchline amid a sensational scandal. Now,
punchline sounds about right for him.
Yeah. So, I bet there'll be nothing but thunderous applause, right?
I'm sure some people will
100%
be I mean, they should. I mean, he's the reason why this whole thing started. I mean, back then we were supposed to. We were really good, had nice national championship aspirations, and then that whole motorcycle wreck just shattered all that. I'm sure there are going to be some people that are going to, appreciate what he did for us, but the majority of them are. I mean, if there's not a riot, then I don't know what there was going to be, but I'm expecting nothing short of just booze out the building.
Well, we'll have to see what happens going forward because, I'll admit to it. I've been bullish on South Carolina for a while going into this year.
Yeah, you really like South Carolina, but like I said, I think they played good.
And the thing is, they didn't play bad against Arkansas. I think Arkansas was the better football team on Saturday. They're gonna have to be a lot better if they want to be decent in the SEC schedule, but.
Well, I think in the East, they have a better chance. The only team they
now you got Kentucky looking good too.
Kentucky
against
yeah.
You see the pictures from their team dining hall the last couple days?
They were eating a gator,
bacon wrap gator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds really good right now.
That sounds really good right now.
I'm starving right now. I haven't eaten. I need to eat after this. But
I had some fajitas before we got here. I'm feeling good.
I honestly that's honestly the best I've seen Spencer Rattler look. As I don't watch him much, but that's the best I've seen.
He hasn't looked that good since 2020 when he broke out.
Yeah, he made good plays, and he wasn't the reason why they lost. Like you said, they were just not the better team. That's truly what it was. The score was what, 44 to 30?
Mm-hmm. 44 to 30, 41 to 30, something like that. So that was fun.
But
I think let's talk about the best team here, obviously.
Then the Nebraska Actually, no, the SMU Mustangs. We're 2-0, baby.
No.
Okay.
No.
Let's talk.
Okay. So I would like to point out, how disappointed are you that you bought the tickets when you did?
A little bit, because it's I should have known. Scott Frost was going to find some way to screw this up. But at the same time, it's we run that risk. What if, he's hey, he's finally put it together. What if they're undefeated? Now all of a sudden those tickets are $500 now.
So right now, OU is only favored to win. Give me a second here. They are only favored to win by 11.5.
So
against Nebraska.
And Casey Thompson right now is out throwing Dylan Gabriel. Right now.
He also has one whole more game.
Okay. Hold on. And Grant is out rushing Gray by almost 300 yards.
See my last statement.
Hold on. But 300 yards? 300 yards.
We have 3 running backs sharing the backfield.
That's true, but hold on. Nebraska has, let's see here.
They also can't throw the ball.
I think the only way Nebraska beats Oklahoma is just for the team. It's a rivalry game. Last year, in Norman, they almost beat Nebraska. So, in theory, with a team that admitted, which I think is not as good as it was last year because you lost a lot of guys, it's a better chance for them to possibly win that game. But on the other side, you have a new coach with Scott. I thought Scott Frost was going to be fired by before the end of the year. I didn't think it was going to be this quick.
I didn't think it was going to be.
I figured
when you lose to North Dakota,
the buyout date drops.
Yeah, but when you lose to North Dakota, I think it was
no, they beat North Dakota. They lost to Georgia Southern, and then the Fighting Clay Heltons this weekend.
Man, I think the moral of the story is don't play Sunbelt teams. Notre Dame.
And, that has to be the winner of the weekend, man. The Sunbelt went crazy this weekend.
Oh my gosh, they just went insane. But Appalachian State, I think nobody should see that coming because they're a really good football team. If you play Appalachian State, bring your lunch pail and get ready to go.
Here's my thing.
That's not a cupcake team.
So here's my thing with Oklahoma this weekend. There's not much to say from this past weekend. It's Kent State. They're going to be a really, really good team in the MAC this year. Their offense is really good. Their quarterback Schlee is like athletic as hell and good, but the talent just isn't there. Oklahoma won out. The discipline won out. Our front seven looks really good. If Nebraska doesn't have it there, all their puking on the offensive line during training camp. If they're not there, our front seven will wreak some havoc. The one thing I think they can do if they're going to beat us is throw the ball. We're going to make Casey Thompson beat us through the air, which I think is possible, but also we've got better week 1 to week 2. So that's pretty scary on the back end. On the offense, it's just if they can shut down our deep ball, our offensive line isn't meshing good enough yet to just pound the ball all day. So if they can lock us down with the deep ball, well, it's going to be a tight game. My prediction this morning was like 31-16 OU. So we scored a little bit more than last year. We give up about the same as last year. Mm-hmm. But that would mean we cover.
Yeah.
Which we covered week 1. We didn't cover this past weekend. It was close, but we didn't cover. I think there's going to be super, super high intensity and emotion because it's a rivalry game. But I just don't know. I can't read how Nebraska is going to react given they've got a new coach and new systems and like all those new things in place going into this week. And it's weird because it's either going to be, we've got our stuff together, we're going to be really good, or hey, we're in the dumpster pile again.
At this point, Oklahoma is favored by 11.5. I think they cover that.
My prediction puts us at 15. I think anywhere 10-17 win is fair.
I can see that.
I think it'll be close for about 3 quarters, and then Oklahoma just they pull out and they win by at least at least 14.
What our track record with Lincoln Riley is we'd get up to a massive lead and then we'd take the foot off the pedal and just limp to the finish line. We're doing the exact opposite this year. Games are tight early on, and then halftime we make adjustments and we just pull away. Like, what the score of our game at halftime was this week, right?
No, I don't really.
It was 7-3.
When they're playing.
It was 7-3.
Was it really?
Yeah. You know what the final score was? The final score was 33-3.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, I was about to say
that. So it was tight. Our offense was just not working in the first half. Second half, everything's clicking and it's working. So yeah, I think if we can just keep building on what we've done so far, it'll be pretty cut and dry. And I'll be there in person with our other homeboy, and we're gonna have some fun.
We will.
By the way, I was given the recommendation we need to get a Runza while we're up there.
We need a what?
To get a Runza.
A Runza?
Yeah, I no idea, but I heard someone told me I need to get one. I heard it was like hamburger meat with like seasonings and onions and peppers and cheese and like a bun, like baked in a bun.
Oh, and he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go.
I'm not paying that money to go up there. Besides, I just spent like a bunch of money to go to Arkansas A&M next week. Next week.
Fair.
But is there a game? Obviously y'all gonna be in Oklahoma, Nebraska. You're gonna be in Lincoln. Is there a game y'all looking forward to? Besides that game,
I'm looking forward to A&M Miami.
I think that game's gonna be a lot of fun. Before we go on to this week, there's one more game I wanted to talk about. Well, 2 games I want to talk about from last week. 1, Baylor BYU. Like
the Baptists.
You got the Mormons. You got the Mormons and the Baptists. Like the Holy War, baby.
The Holy War?
Yes.
Mormons versus Baptists.
It's one of those things where it's like we knew both teams were good this year, right? Like we knew that. I just thought that game was really, really fascinating from the standpoint of where's Baylor and where's BYU.
Yeah, I mean,
and now we're starting to realize, hey, BYU can really compete with everybody else in the Big 12.
BYU's about to have another test.
Side note, you know what I'm starting to realize really quickly? The teams that the Big 12 are bringing in are going to compete right away.
Oh, yeah. BYU is going to be good. Who else?
Houston's going to be good. They had their game against Texas Tech this weekend was really fun, by the way.
I watched it. I watched the tail end of it.
Well, every team
and for everybody that said Texas Tech and Joey McGuire is going to be a failure, suck my ass. Like
my ass.
Like literally, like Joey McGuire is my guy. Like they'll be fine.
Well, I mean, I've told
you guys this. I've been saying it for a while. That win this weekend for Texas Tech was kind of one of those litmus test games where it's like, hey, if you lose, it's like, okay, you lost to a good team. We're still building. We're not quite there yet. But if you win that game, it's like, okay, you beat a decent team. Let's see how we can build on it. And I think they're building pretty quickly, which is really fun to watch.
Well, they'll have another test this weekend. They play NC State, number 16th ranked team in the country.
Yeah, I'm not confident they can win that game, but if they can compete, that would be a good sign.
I mean, yeah, like they're favored by 10. You compete and you stay within that. It's the sign for them.
And then the last one I want to touch on. Last one I want to touch on is Kansas, West Virginia, the Fighting Lands.
How is Kansas 2-0 to start?
Are you feeling nervous yet for Texas?
No. Shut up.
Are you? Is this 2006 again? Are they going? No. Are they in the hunt for a national title again?
Hey, don't say nothing. They might be. Don't say nothing. I mean, look, might be
you know what? I wouldn't mind 2006 again, minus Arkansas. If they go to number 1 somehow, they stay there. But like I wouldn't mind 2006 again because that was crazy. That was a crazy year, and Kansas had a chance. West Virginia had a chance that year as well. But I mean, that really surprised me because I mean, I'm used to seeing Kansas get drilled by Division II schools and then go into the Big 12 and undercompete. So for them to beat West Virginia was a really good step for them. You talk about Texas Tech being the step in the right direction. I mean, Kansas, they've been at the bottom of the bottom. They're basically the Vandy of the Big 12. And for them to be able to beat West Virginia, who's always been kind of a really good middle of the pack team, is really big for them. And it was what I thought was going to be with Les Miles, but of course we know how that happened, how that worked out.
For sure. I think Kansas fans are going to get really nervous now that Nebraska fired Scott Frost, because guess who they might come looking for? Lance Leipold.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
I hope not. I hope he stays in Kansas, and I hope he builds Kansas. But we'll have to find out because they're going to know sooner than later. Okay. Yeah. So let's do this. This coming week, outside of like the big games, right? So like Miami, Texas A&M, Penn State, Auburn, Oklahoma, Nebraska, stuff like that. What's 1 or 2 games you're really, really looking forward to?
I'm interested in the Texas Tech NC State game.
For sure.
I'm interested in that one just from what we saw last week from Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also interested to see, just looking at this, how the Mormons do against the Ducks, because we saw how great they looked.
That was the game I was looking at. I was like, BYU looked really good against a really competitive Baylor team.
Yeah,
and Oregon got dragged by Georgia. But I'm still not sure if that was more Oregon not being ready or good versus Georgia being extremely good.
I think it's a little bit of both, but mostly Georgia just being outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia could very well repeat, and I think they will.
Absolutely. So I like both those two. I think for me, I'm looking at UTSA Texas. Like, I think especially if Texas is starting a third or fourth string quarterback, I think UTSA could easily win that game.
Well, we saw I'm blanking on his name, third string play against Lamar, and he didn't do too bad, but it was Lamar. So
right. Another game I'm looking at is Michigan State, Washington.
That game looks good too.
I think that'll be fun. And one game I think is flying under the radar a little bit. I think based on what we've seen from a couple the first 2 weeks isn't going to be particularly close, but it still intrigues me a little bit. Fresno State, USC.
I'm kind of intrigued by Liberty, Wake Forest a little bit.
A whole lot of points are going to be scored.
Not a lot of defense.
You know who's the quarterback at Liberty now, right?
Nope.
Charlie Brewer.
Oh, really? The Baylor?
Yeah.
I mean, that game to me is intriguing because, you have two offenses that are really good. Hugh Freeze, I think, is still the head coach there, and it's going to be a very high-scoring game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Wake Forest is favored by about 16 and a half. And then, of course, Arkansas, but that's beside.
This week's gonna be another fun week. I know Aiden and I are gonna be traveling, so
I'll be flying you up there, man. My pleasure.
We're gonna have to watch intermittently as much as we can, and we'll make it happen.
Ooh, another game. California and Notre Dame. Notre Dame is coming off of losing to Marshall.
Oh my gosh,
California. I mean, they're 2-.
I completely forgot about Marshall beating Notre Dame this weekend.
Yeah, like that. Like, can Notre Dame bounce back and actually beat? Can they beat Cal? Like, Cal's never been great, but like, I mean, they just lost to Marshall. So like, where does this team go? Can they get a win? Miss Georgia Tech might be.
But what I'm starting to realize pretty quickly is their quote unquote interesting games on their schedule are getting less and less interesting by the week. Like the last week of the year, Notre Dame plays USC. That game looks not interesting at all right now.
Well, Notre Dame has to play Clemson at some point, and that game is going to be just as well. I mean, I think it looked interesting because Notre Dame comes out, they're playing what's supposed to be one of the best offenses in the entire country. They play well, lose by 11, 21-10, I think was the score. And then, I kind of expected them to kind of be only one loss going to Clemson. And I mean, obviously nobody saw what happened to Marshall, but yeah, every year, every game that they play right now is going to look less and less intriguing.
And it's a shame because I really like Marcus Freeman, but dude's got to get it together.
I know. It looks so backward.
That's really good to get together.
One other game, the Magnolia Bowl, Mississippi State, LSU.
I completely forgot how early that game is this year.
High-powered offense, LSU.
With a coach that tries to have a country accent.
My family.
That was one time. But
speaking of a team, a game that's interesting, Florida State Louisville plays Friday night.
Yep. What is Florida State? Are they 2-0?
Yeah.
Florida State 2-0, looking to be 3-0.
Florida State go 3-0 with 1-0 in the ACC. All of a sudden, Florida State's looking sexy.
Especially in the ACC, because I mean, who are they?
And Mike Norvell all of a sudden looks like a competent coach.
No, I mean, hold on, I'm looking up something real quick. Continue talking. Continue talking.
I could do whatever you want me to do. Man, I like Florida State. They look decent so far. They look competent for the first time in a couple of years. But I don't know what Louisville's going to do. They come out, get beat week 1, and it looks ugly. and they come out and win week 2, and they look good. So I have no idea what Louisville's going to do. So that game's going to depend largely on what we can find from, or what kind of Louisville shows up.
Will Florida State and Clemson matter again for the first time in years?
What week are they playing?
I don't know. Let me check their schedule real quick. Florida State's.
Pull up their schedule really quick because that is going to be interesting.
2, 3, 4, 5 weeks from now.
So
October 15th. The week was supposed to be in Philly.
That's right.
And the week that we play BYU.
Realistically, it's just going to depend on calendar schedules because we know Clemson's going to be probably 6-0, 7-0, something like that. Florida State, if they're somewhere close to that, 6-0, 7-1, or 6-1, something like that, that game could be really interesting really quickly. It's going to depend. It's really going to depend on.
They're going. Florida State, their schedule before that. So before they play Clemson, they have to play Wake Forest, and then they have to play NC State. That's not an easy task.
No,
that's 2 weeks. That's week. That's Wake Forest 1, NC State, Clemson. That's a brutal stretch. And then obviously Louisville and then Boston College before they play those other 3 games.
It's gonna largely depend on the play of Jordan Travis. Can Jordan Travis play at a high level? It's not going to look good against Clemson. I can tell you that. Their whole defense is so solid. But if he can play solid,
but that offense isn't great. That offense isn't great.
If he keeps sputtering, they're gonna have to put Cade Klubnik in. They're gonna have to, or the boosters will riot. Almost as bad as the Texas boosters riot every week.
Yeah, pretty much.
But okay, so we're going on about an hour here. Let's do this. Let's have some kind of last word, parting shots, one thought you want to get off your chest, something like that, and we'll wrap it up. I'll start. This goes back to the Cowboys. The one thought I have is I hear a ton of people talking about how badly Dak sucks as a quarterback. And after the results this weekend, I can't argue with the results this weekend. He was just not good this weekend. But from a career standpoint, I just cannot get behind the sentiment that Dak is a bad quarterback. Especially when we talk through offensive line injuries, wide receiver play, instability in the front office, whatever the reason may be, more often than not, he's been the player that's that's dragged us out of holes and brought us back in games and kept us afloat more times than not. Anytime he goes down is when the team falls apart more often than not. He's been the glue that's held us together apart from this week 1.
I like the Dak from when he started playing to 2018. After that you flick him and he goes out with an injury. But
I disagree, like with his ankle injury, the dude fell on his ankle and it broke. Like you can't do much about that. With him high-fiving or whatever he did, he hit the freaking Bucks helmet too hard and broke his thumb. That's not funny. Like that's just not cool. Like, dude, like I get it. It's broken, but like what are we doing? be smarter. Especially after the rumors of him like hurting his ankle a week ago with new cleats or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to say, dude, by and large, he's a damn good quarterback. But we've got to see more consistency with everybody around him if our offense is going to be successful moving forward.
He has. I agree with that. We need pieces around him to be successful in order for him to be successful. He has made, especially after this game. This game was just filled with questionable decisions.
We're not talking about this game necessarily. We all are in agreement that this game was just atrocious from him and everybody on the team. But when we're talking about the big picture as a whole of his career, he's been a damn good quarterback.
He's been good, but
that's my thought.
I don't know with him. I honestly don't. I don't think he's worth the contract we gave him. But what do you think?
That's the going rate in the NFL, man. And it's crazy, but we'll find out. We'll find out in 6 to 8 weeks, or 4 to 8 weeks, according to Jerry.
4 weeks, according to Jerry. What do you think? What do you think? The one thing though, like the one argument I don't like is I think it was the COVID year when we were atrocious and we would be down by like 20 or 30, and then we had to storm our way back somehow. And then people were making the case, well, Dak's amazing because he's leading us back. Well, defenses also take their foot off the gas when they get a comfortable lead towards the end of the game. So
that's more play calls than anything, man.
But still, like I also don't think it's 100% fair to say that it's all Dak when you're getting pummeled during the beginning of the game and having to storm your way back.
No doubt. No doubt.
What do you think, Chris?
I'm sorry. I was trying to look up something.
He's zoned out. He's not paying attention.
Hello.
To be honest,
that's okay.
To be honest, I was zoning out.
That's okay. You've got your one thought, Chris. What you want to get off your chest?
I mean, I just think my one thought is just for me personally how great it is that Arkansas finally has a competent football team. Like the last time we were good in football was 2010, 2011, and it's been like leading up to what we are now. And I feel like for the first time we actually have a team that looks like we could compete with any team in the country. Maybe not Georgia, but like I'm just super thrilled with how the team is looking, and it gives me a reason. Like watching the Cowboys game yesterday, I honestly was irritated, but like with the idea that I can go watch the Razorbacks play and they look, great is incredible to me. And I mean, we should be 3-0 going to A&M and probably 4-0 whenever we play Alabama. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do against Alabama, considering what Aiden's team did against them.
I'd say that's fair. I think A&M would be big test.
I think there's a stretch. So there's a stretch. It's A&M. It's going to be because even whenever we weren't good even when we weren't good against A&M, we played them very well. But there's a stretch where it's A&M, Alabama, Mississippi State, and then BYU. I think there's that stretch right there is where we are going to lose a game if we lose a game. Like we'll probably lose to Alabama. I fear going to BYU, and then I fear playing Mississippi State because I think Mississippi State's a better football team. Then just that game could be a trap.
I think this past week showed that nobody wants to go to Provo and play right now.
I don't want to go to Provo and play. I was watching that game, and I'm just like, oh, we got to go play them. We have to play them at some point this year. I don't want to go there. But, like, I mean, I think that's a game we will probably lose. But, I mean, I'm content with a 10-2 record. And with the exception, I think
that's a damn good year from Arkansas, given your schedule.
Oh, yeah. It's a great year. And it just lets us build. And then I'm also excited for basketball season. Anyway, carry on.
All right, Aiden, bring us home. What do you got to get off your chest?
Just I made.
Is it about that?
Yeah, I could go on for another hour about the whole Cowboys garbage, but I regret going to Philly.
Hey, look. If y'all want to renege on that, like I didn't want to go from the beginning. So if y'all want to talk about that,
the trip's paid for, man. We're
paid for. We already did it. We're gonna go, but man, I can't wait to see what Jerry's gonna do. So
I'm wearing black.
Hopefully by then Dak's healthy and good to go. But we may be in for a tough time in Philly.
Yeah, and my thing is like, and I think it's just it just is astounding how Jerry can just sit there and just say how everything's going to be fine. This is going to be worse than 2018 when we had to go trade for Amari Cooper.
Has anybody started to ask if he's starting to get dementia or Alzheimer's yet?
I mean, honestly, you know what? And I heard this. I believe that Jerry is making Jerry's always said, I've got, I've got a big backbone and I've got like thick shoulders, like lay it on me. I think Steven's the one that's making these decisions, and that's where it's really bothering me because he has botched so many decisions that I can put my hands on. Von Miller.
Well, hold
on. And then to make personal decisions, to get rid of your only deep threat, and then to sit there with the audacity to say that everything's going to be fine and dandy when this is going to be worse than when the year we had to go trade for Amari Cooper. We so thin right now.
Well, with that in mind, we were talking about all the failed stuff that happened, the Bobby Wagners, the Von Millers and stuff like that. Like, even whenever Jerry Jones was willing to go out and get guys, whether it failed miserably or whatever, he was still willing to go out and get guys, whether it was Terrell Owens or Ward Williams from the Detroit Lions. So I think a part of it has to do with, Stephen Jones is making some of those calls, and they're not doing well with those calls. And I kind of think that the Cowboys won't win a championship or Super Bowl until the Joneses are not owning the team.
Yeah, but that's my.
Well, we'll see that in about 2045.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
but until then, that was episode 1 of Going the JC Route podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe.
Go in peace and serve the Lord.
Let us know if there's any topics you want us to cover or
up the Reds, Liverpool.
Or any recommendations.
Go Hogs.
Get better. I hate you guys so much.
Liverpool beat Ajax.
Wait, why do you hate? Wait, what did I do?
No,
just said go Hogs.
Remember, Boomer Sooner, horns always down.
Welcome, baby.
We'll catch you next time. I said we'll catch you next time.
All right. Are we done?